This race was so crazy. It changed the world of motorsport forever. From intense crashes to extremely close fights.
Inches apart, I think they might have touched.
This race had it all. I'll even show you the unseen scenes of that day, which displays exactly how challenging the race was. But the most important thing of this race was the craziest battle between these two drivers, because this race determined who will become the world champion. At the race start, we could already see why this is going to be something special.
And there are a lot of nervous drivers down on that grid, and tension all around.
Which way will it go then?
And so when the race finally started, literally on lap 1, everything changed.
Off the track.
And what's that?
Sebastian Vettel in the middle of the track.
So in just a couple of seconds, the championship favourite Sebastian Vettel went from solid P4 to P22, which meant he's now last on the grid. P4 would have been enough to win the championship for Vettel, but obviously now his race had become much more difficult. To be perfectly honest, after the first lap, I thought it's probably all over, said Red Bull's Adrian Newey. If you don't know who Adrian Newey is, let's just say he's the real legend behind Red Bull. But now, to add more difficulty to Vettel's race, Fernando Alonso, his main contender for the championship, was also making some big moves. He started P7 in his Ferrari, but then overtook for P5, while Vettel had gone down to last position. But turns out Alonso was just starting, because by the end of lap 1, he even pulled off a move which I think is the best move of his career.
And he might be about to make a move, and here goes Fernando Alonso down the inside.
Very much getting himself into the position he needs to be in.
Alonso has put himself up into the podium positions.
So even though Vettel came to this last race with a 13-point lead from Alonso, turns out it still wasn't enough due to their current positions in the race. Alonso P3 and Vettel P22, thus giving a huge advantage to Alonso. But just when everything was going well, suddenly...
And he's gone straight on. Alonso's gone straight on.
Now luckily it didn't cause any big damage to his race, as he still managed to hold up the drivers behind him. But guys, it turns out Alonso's moment was nothing, because literally a lap later, when Grosjean was driving his Lotus, suddenly...
Gap then back to
it's a
Alonso.
car
Who's
out.
that? Big crash. Grosjean is out of the race.
Fortunately, nothing happened to him, but it did bring out yellow flags, which meant no overtaking can take place until the track gets cleared, which obviously goes for both Alonso and Vettel as well. Speaking of Vettel, remember his position? P22 at the end of lap 1? Yeah, so by lap 8...
Vettel then's gone over the line in 8th place. Vettel up to P8.
Yep, 14 positions gained in just 7 laps. Told you he was doing something phenomenal, but guys, the championship fight was still far from over, because in order for Vettel to win, he needs to be at least P10 or better if Alonso finishes 3rd. So obviously, Vettel's in a good position, but it wasn't that simple. He still had work to do. Since a lot of laps were left to be completed, Alonso was pushing as well, but couldn't do much to his 4th position.
There comes Fernando Alonso. He's getting falling further and further behind.
But out of those front runners, one car was doing something unusual, something F1 had never seen before. A Force India car was running in the top 3 positions. Trust me, you don't see that every day. And to make this even better, the reason why this midfield team was in podium positions was because of pure race pace. So this made the situation even more unusual. But then the real reason for this race pace was revealed when we saw who was driving. Nico Hülkenberg. The guy who won the F2 series as a rookie, Nico Hülkenberg, has been considered as an unbelievable talent. He even won the 24-hour Le Mans while still competing in Formula 1 that year. Now that's impressive. But still, there was a problem. Even though Nico has been in F1 since 2009, he's still yet to win a race. Forget winning a race. He hasn't ever even finished on the podium. So after nearly 4 years, when he finally got the chance to make it happen, clearly everybody wanted the same.
Nico Hülkenberg catching him.
He's quick in a straight line. So is the McLaren Tunix. Much better drive coming off turn 3. Much better traction.
So obviously, this situation would have been great enough for both Nick and Force India. But wait, turns out it became even better, because when Nick got close to the much faster McLaren, he did the impossible.
There, and that's put Hülkenberg onto him. Might well be an easy pass down the outside. Hülkenberg takes the lead.
Unbelievable.
So for the first time ever, both Force India and Hülkenberg took the lead. But while this was happening, Vettel was making some great progress too. He went from P8 to P5 by overtaking Kobayashi. But on the other hand, Alonso couldn't do much, so he was still stuck at P4. Clearly, Alonso was in a bad position, given Vettel already had a championship lead of 13 points before this race even started. But turns out, Alonso's race will be going to get even worse. Because in the next laps, the rain started pouring, which meant less grip for all drivers. But Alonso was the one who almost got affected by it in the worst possible way. So much so that it would have destroyed his entire race. But let him reach that lap, and we'll come back to it. Meanwhile, it turns out Alonso wasn't the only one affected by rain. Our race leader Nico Hülkenberg got affected, as he couldn't control his car.
Becoming the leader of this race. I wonder if
He's lost the lead, hasn't
Yes, not our leader anymore.
This devastated the team. I mean, just imagine a midfield team getting once-in-a-lifetime chance to win an F1 race, but then it gets taken away in just a second. That's gotta hurt. And when Hamilton usually takes the lead, and that too in his much stronger McLaren, it's pretty much game over. He wanted to win the race, just like his team, so he gave his all, drove beautifully, and in the next couple of laps, he somehow got close to the much faster Hamilton. And just when he got the chance to overtake him,
Hülkenberg might just go through here and back him into the lead. Oh, they've touched! And Hamilton and Hülkenberg come together. Damage for Hamilton and Hülkenberg.
this pretty much ended both drivers' race. Hamilton retired, and Hülkenberg, though still in the race, lost the lead and unfortunately couldn't get it back. But turns out, this affected Alonso Vettel's battle too, because since Hamilton retired, Alonso jumped to 3rd position, while Vettel went down to 12th. And the reason for Vettel's drop was due to his pit stop.
Pit stop's taking that little bit longer as the guys approach. 22 seconds there on the clock.
So, this gave Alonso another chance, but it wasn't so easy, because Alonso had his big challenge with the rain, which could have ended his race.
Drizzle comes down. Alonso squirming.
But somehow, he still kept going, and so it basically meant that Vettel still needed to push, which turns out he did. He consistently climbed up and eventually reached P8. Now this would have been enough to become the champion.
Sebastian, this position is good enough.
But not so fast, said Alonso, because after a couple laps, he overtook his teammate as well, thus reaching P2. So in the last stretch of the race, in those final laps, Vettel still needed to push, which again, he did. But this time, there was a problem. In front of him was the great Michael Schumacher.
Brilliant race for Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher gets 7th World Championship. Rainmaster.
Vettel was close to Schumacher, both on and off the track.
As a child, obviously, my hero Michael was racing in Formula 1. He was winning in Formula 1, and
He considers the 7-time champ his hero. Vettel and Schumacher were always close. Since the beginning, Schumacher used to see Vettel during his karting days. So all those times made their bond even stronger. But now, in that race moment, they were competitors. Schumacher was racing for Mercedes. In fact, it was his last ever race in Formula 1, as he was retiring after this. So just imagine how much that race would have meant to him. But this time, he was competing with Vettel, whose championship was on the line. So when Vettel finally got close to Schumacher, what did Schumacher decide to do?
surprisingly to all of us, Michael Schumacher waved him through.
As he doesn't put up any resistance at all, his gift and his last race to his young German friend.
I feel that's the only time Michael ever let someone pass without a fight. And so, after such a brutal race, after all the ups and downs, twists and turns, Vettel finally crossed the line as the triple world champion.
You're the triple world champion, Sebastian Vettel.
It is Sebastian Vettel for Red Bull. 3 Constructors titles in a row.